On March 3rd, 2026, something extraordinary will happen in the skies. The moon will turn red. Did you know that? It will transform into what the Bible sometimes refers to as a blood moon.
This phenomenon is known as a blood moon, precisely because when Earth's shadow covers the moon, it takes on a reddish hue. It's beautiful to see, and the eclipse can be seen across all of the Americas from Argentina to Canada.
Do you know what day this will happen? It will happen exactly on the day of Purim, the Jewish holiday celebrating the liberation of God's people from an enemy who planned their total destruction. Here's the detail many don't know. This will be the third consecutive blood moon to fall on the day of Purim. In 2024, there was one. In 2025, there was another. And now in 2026, we'll have the third. 3 years in a row, with 3 blood moons, all on the same biblical holiday. What's the probability of this happening by chance? I believe it's practically zero. And do you know what makes all of this even more frightening? Purim is the holiday celebrating the defeat of Haman, the man who tried to exterminate all the Jewish people in ancient Persia. And Persia, if you didn't know, is modern-day Iran, the same country that in recent years has sworn to destroy Israel. And believe me, it's the same country desperately trying to rebuild its nuclear program after the 12-day war in June 2025. It could be that God is painting the sky red to send us a message that we simply cannot ignore. Stay with me until the end of this video, and I'll explain everything to you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button.
The rare phenomenon turned the sky into a spectacle, which attracted many admirers. This name, everyone, blood moon, refers to the reddish color of the lunar surface, caused by sunlight rays passing around the outer edge of the eclipse's shadow, being filtered and refracted as they cross Earth's atmosphere.
Question number 1. What is a blood moon? Before talking about prophecies, we need to understand what a blood moon is, okay? From an astronomical standpoint, a blood moon occurs during a total lunar eclipse. It's when Earth positions itself exactly between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow onto the lunar surface. At that moment, the only light reaching the moon is what passes through the Earth's atmosphere. And this light, filtered by our atmosphere, reaches the other side with reddish and orange tones, as if every sunset and sunrise on the planet were projected simultaneously onto the moon's face. I think this is incredible. The result is impressive. The entire moon turns a shade of red. You look at it, and it seems like it's covered in blood. It's a rare spectacle and one that, throughout the centuries, has caused dread in many people. Now, the total lunar eclipse of March 3rd, 2026 will be the only total lunar eclipse of the entire year. That's why you can't miss it. If you don't manage to see this one, you won't be able to see it at any other time this year. The phase of totality, when the moon turns completely red, will last approximately 58 minutes. That's right, just as you heard, 58 minutes. The eclipse will be visible across much of Asia, Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, North America, and Central America. Billions of people will have the chance to see this phenomenon with their own eyes, and there won't be another total lunar eclipse until the end of 2028. So it's a unique chance. But what turns this scientific event into something prophetic is what the Bible says about the moon turning to blood. The prophet Joel wrote, "The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes." This is in Joel chapter 2, verses 30 and 31. The Apostle Peter repeated these exact words on the day of Pentecost in Acts of the Apostles chapter 2, verse 20. And John, in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 12, wrote, "And the moon became like blood." 3 passages, written by 3 different authors and in distinct centuries, all pointing to the same sign. The moon turning to blood as a harbinger of events that will shake the nations. Question 2. What is the story of Purim, from Haman to Iran? I'll answer you now. See what the story of Purim is like, because it's absolutely essential for us to understand the prophetic meaning of the March 3rd blood moon. It all begins in the book of Esther, in the heart of the Persian Empire, which stretched from India to Ethiopia. King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes, reigned over 127 provinces, and in this vast and powerful empire, a man named Haman rose to power as prime minister. Haman was an Agagite, a descendant of Agag, king of the Amalekites, the people whom God had ordered to be completely eliminated because of their perpetual enmity against Israel. Haman was a man of boundless ambition and arrogant pride. He demanded that everyone bow down before him as if he were a deity, but there was one man who refused. Mordecai was a faithful Jew who would not bend his knee to anyone but the God of Israel. Mordecai's refusal infuriated Haman, but destroying just one man wasn't enough to satisfy his thirst for revenge. Haman decided to exterminate all the Jews in the empire. All of them. Men, including women, children, and even the elderly. To determine the date of the massacre, Haman cast lots, which in Hebrew is called Purim, hence the name of the festival. The lots fell on the 13th day of the month of Adar. Haman convinced the king to sign the decree of extermination, and messengers were sent to all the provinces with the order to annihilate the Jewish people in a single day. But God had a plan, and the instrument of that plan was a young Jewish woman named Esther. She had been chosen as the queen of Persia. Her uncle Mordecai challenged her with words that teach us to this day. Who knows if you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther chapter 4 verse 14. Esther risked her own life by appearing before the king without being summoned, something that could result in immediate execution, but God's favor was upon her. The king extended the golden scepter and Esther revealed Haman's conspiracy. The result was a total reversal. Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Not only him, but his 10 sons were also executed, and a new decree was issued, allowing the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. The day that should have been one of mourning was transformed into a day of celebration. The day that would have been one of destruction ended up becoming a day of deliverance. Here's where it gets interesting. Ancient Persia is modern-day Iran. The spirit of Haman, that demonic desire to destroy the Jewish people, did not die with him. This spirit has walked throughout all of history. Remember Antiochus Epiphanes and Hitler? Well, today that same spirit manifests in the regime of the Ayatollahs in Tehran, which maintains a countdown clock for the destruction of Israel in the center of its capital. Question 3. Would the 3 blood moons on Purim be a prophetic warning? Let's answer that question now. In 2024, there was a lunar eclipse that coincided with Purim. In 2025, there was another total lunar eclipse, exactly on Purim, on March 14th. And now, in 2026, we will have another total lunar eclipse falling precisely on Purim on March 3rd. These are 3 consecutive blood moons on the same biblical festival. This has never happened before in recent history. The mathematical probability of this occurring by mere chance is very low. When we analyze what happened in the world during this period, we see that all of this has a purpose. Think about what happened between these 3 blood moons. The Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, triggered the most devastating war Israel has faced in decades. Israel entered Gaza to destroy Hamas. Hezbollah was weakened in Lebanon. The Assad regime fell in Syria. The Houthis attacked ships in the Red Sea. And then, in June 2025, the unthinkable happened. Israel and the United States launched Operation Rising Lion, the 12-day war against Iran. The attacks destroyed about 2/3 of the Iranian ballistic missile launchers. The main nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan suffered severe damage. The Iranian nuclear program was set back by years. Billions of dollars in military infrastructure were reduced to rubble, and all this happened while blood moons fell over Purim, the festival that celebrates exactly the defeat of Persia when it tried to destroy Israel. We see history repeating itself here. Did you notice that? The spirit of Haman has resurfaced in modern Iran, and God is responding in the same way he did 2,500 years ago with the defeat of Israel's enemies. Question 4. What do the blood moons and the history of Israel have in common? This pattern of blood moons coinciding with crucial events in Israel's history is not something new. It has been repeating throughout the centuries in a way that defies any natural explanation. In 1492, the Jews were expelled from Spain by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Hundreds of thousands were forced to abandon their homes, their belongings, everything they owned. The Spanish Inquisition tortured and burned alive those who refused to convert to Catholicism. Soon after, between 1493 and 1494, a tetrad of blood moons occurred, coinciding with the Jewish holidays of Passover and Sukkot. In 1948, after the horror of the Holocaust, Israel was reborn as a nation. For the first time in almost 2,000 years, the Jewish people had a sovereign state in their ancestral land. Immediately, 5 Arab armies invaded the newborn state of Israel to eliminate it. And between 1949 and 1950, another tetrad of blood moons fell over the Jewish holidays. The prophet Jeremiah had prophesied, "I will restore them to their own land that I gave to their ancestors." Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 15. In 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israel recaptured the city of Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount, where the first and second temples had been built. For the first time since the Roman destruction in 70 AD, a reunified Jerusalem was the capital of the Jewish state. And again, between 1967 and 1968, another tetrad of blood moons coincided with the biblical holidays. Pastor John Hagee said something very powerful about this. The heavens are God's billboard. He has been sending signs to earth and we are not picking them up. 1492, expulsion from Spain, blood moons. 1948, rebirth of Israel, blood moons. 1967, reunification of Jerusalem, blood moons. And now, from 2024 to 2026, 3 blood moons on Purim, while an epic war unfolds in the Middle East with Iran as the protagonist. Every major turning point in Israel's history has been accompanied by signs in the heavens, and we are living through exactly that right now. Question 5, how is Iran today? The modern Haman. In Iran, it's like this. In February 2026, notice this, and you'll see how the parallel with Haman's story is disturbing. 8 months after the 12-day war, Iran is at a historical crossroads. The Ayatollah's regime has adopted what analysts call the doctrine of differential reconstruction. This means they are trying at the same time to rebuild their air defenses, regain their arsenal of ballistic missiles, and, most dangerous of all, accelerate the fortification of their nuclear facilities in deeper underground bunkers, out of reach of satellites and inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. Before the war in June 2025, it was estimated that Iran possessed about 2,500 ballistic missiles. Attacks by Israel and the United States destroyed between 35 and 45% of that arsenal. But according to reports from February 2026, Iran has already reconstituted its stockpile of medium-range missiles to pre-war levels. And it doesn't stop there. Intelligence reports indicate that Iran retains about 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. This is a quantity dangerously close to what is needed for a nuclear weapon. An Italian Institute of Political Studies, citing internal sources in Iran, revealed that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei had secretly approved the development of miniaturized nuclear warheads. Know what's even more worrying? While Iran tries to rebuild its military and nuclear power, its regime has maintained for decades the motto, "Death to Israel." There's a countdown clock for the destruction of Israel, publicly displayed in Tehran. Banners were hung in the capital, threatening new attacks against Israeli and American targets. Do you see what's happening? Haman wanted to destroy all the Jews in a single day. Iran wants to do the same. Haman used the power of the Persian Empire to carry out his plans. Iran uses ballistic missiles and nuclear programs. Haman financed and armed Israel's enemies. Iran created what's called the Axis of Resistance: Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, militias in Iraq and Syria. And in January 2026, massive protests broke out in all 31 provinces of Iran. The Persian people are rising up against the regime of the Ayatollahs. Thousands were killed and thousands were arrested. It's the largest wave of protests since the 1979 revolution. In the story of Esther, the Persian people weren't enemies of the Jews. It was Haman and his faction. Likewise, the Iranian people are not Israel's enemy. It's the regime of the Ayatollahs, which is the spirit of Haman that took over Persia, seeking the destruction of God's people. And just as Haman fell, this regime will also fall. The blood moon is the sign. Question 6. What do Joel's prophecy and the celestial signs of 2026 have in common? The prophet Joel spoke about the blood moon in a very broad way. He placed this sign within a complete context. Let's read it again carefully. It says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke." The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Joel chapter 2 verses 30 and 31. Now observe what is happening in 2026 regarding celestial signs. Besides the blood moon, we have an impressive sequence of astronomical events. On February 17, 2026, 2 weeks before the blood moon, there was an annular solar eclipse, the so-called Ring of Fire, when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, but doesn't cover it completely, leaving a bright ring of sunlight visible. The sun turning into darkness, but not completely, like a foreshadowing, like a warning. On March 3rd, the blood moon on Purim, the moon turning into blood. And on August 12, 2026, what is being called the eclipse of the century, a total solar eclipse, which will darken the skies over the Arctic Ocean, Greenland, Iceland, the Atlantic Ocean, Portugal, Spain, and North Africa. Day will turn into night for more than 6 minutes. It will be the longest total solar eclipse of the entire 21st century. The sun will be turned to darkness, the moon will be turned to blood, exactly as Joel prophesied, all in a single year. All of this being fulfilled in 2026. Jesus Christ said in Luke chapter 21, verse 25, there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars. And in Matthew chapter 24, verse 33, when you see all these things, know that it is near, at the doors. We cannot look at these signs and simply think everything is normal. We cannot pretend that it is just astronomy. When the heavens align with God's calendar, when eclipses fall on biblical feasts, when the moon is tinged with blood on the exact day that Israel celebrates the defeat of its Persian enemies, realize that this is not something common. Question 7. How was the reversal? The principle of Purim. There is a deeply powerful principle embedded in the story of Purim that we need to understand better. It is the principle of divine reversal. See the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1. It says, on the day when the enemies of the Jews expected to have dominion over them, exactly the opposite happened. The Jews themselves had dominion over those who hated them. This principle of reversal is a hallmark of God's action in history. When it seems that all is lost and the enemy seems invincible, it even seems that the death decree has already been signed, and it is exactly at that moment that God intervenes and gives victory to his people. Haman built a gallows for Mordecai and ended up hanging from it. Haman planned the destruction of the Jews, and the Jews were exalted. The day marked for the massacre became a day of celebration. Look at what has happened in recent years. Hamas planned October 7th as the blow that would destroy Israel, but the result was the destruction of Hamas itself. Hezbollah accumulated an arsenal to eliminate northern Israel, but Israel dismantled the leadership and much of Hezbollah's power. Iran built a ring of strangulation around Israel with its proxies, but that ring was broken. The Assad regime in Syria, an ally of Tehran, fell. Iran's missile arsenal has been devastated, its nuclear facilities have been bombed, and now the Iranian people themselves are rising up against the regime that oppresses both Jews and Persians. This is Purim happening in real time. Divine reversal works like this. What the enemy planned for evil, God is turning into good. And the blood moon of March 3rd is the celestial seal upon this truth. God can do the same in your life. He can turn evil into good. If you understand this, comment. God is the God of the impossible. Question 8. What does this, everything that has been said, mean for us? Maybe you're watching this video and thinking, okay, this is fascinating about Israel and Iran, but what does it have to do with me? It has everything to do with you. The principle of Purim doesn't just apply to nations. It applies to your life. That problem that seems insurmountable, that situation that seems hopeless, that enemy, whether it's a disease, a financial crisis, a broken relationship, an addiction that imprisons you, may be about to experience a divine reversal. Esther fasted for 3 days before appearing before the king. She sought God with all her heart, and God answered with a miracle that no one expected. In the same way, when we seek God with sincerity, with humility, with genuine faith, He can reverse the circumstances of our lives in ways that defy all human logic. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, verse 42, "Watch, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. The signs are in the heavens. They are there to prepare us, and also to awaken us, and finally to call us back to what really matters." We live in a time when biblical prophecies are being fulfilled at a speed we've never seen before. There was the rebirth of Israel, the reunification of Jerusalem, the preparations for the Third Temple, the wars in the Middle East, the signs in the sun, moon, and stars. All of this is happening, and it's happening now in our time.
Hello, my friend. How are you? What did you think of today's video? Leave your comment down below. Look, I'm counting on your support too, okay? Give this video a like, because I've already picked 10 topics here to make more videos just related to the blood moon. It's going to happen on March 3rd, but I'll only do it if you like and share this video with everyone in your contacts, okay? Let's share it so this video reaches as many people as possible. You saw the whole video there. I didn't appear, I didn't interrupt, I didn't get in the way of your video, but I'm the one who does everything. I'm always here recording the audio, doing everything, all the editing. I'm the one behind everything, okay? So I'm always counting on your support, on your collaboration. Well, you've seen the whole story there, right? From Haman to Iran, and from Esther to Israel, from Purim to the blood moons. And do you know whose hand is holding all of this? Do you know whose hand is governing over all of these events? It is the hand of God. The hand of God that is guiding his people and is protecting them in these difficult times of battle. It has always been this way since the past, and it is being this way today as well. God fulfills his words, God fulfills his promises and fulfills them. Look, letter by letter, word by word, prophecy by prophecy. Of that you can be sure. If God promised, he is faithful to fulfill it. So on March 3rd, 2026, remember, when you look at the sky and see the moon tinged with red, remember that this astronomical phenomenon is a sign from the living God, a sign that he is attentive and is in control of everything, and the plans of the enemies of his people will be frustrated once again. Just as Haman's plans were frustrated more than 2,500 years ago, you can be sure that whoever rises against Israel will have their plans frustrated as well. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons." Notice something interesting here. Signs and set times, as it says at the end of this verse. The heavens are speaking at all times, only those who don't want to don't listen. The blood moon is a sign, Purim is a set time, and the final message is this: God has not changed, his word has not failed, and his purposes will not be frustrated. If this video touched your heart in some way, if this video opened your eyes to the prophetic reality in which we are living, please share it with someone who needs to be hearing this too, maybe to strengthen their faith, to wake up to life. Maybe it will bring spiritual awakening to that person you love so much. I also hope you subscribe to our channel here, turn on the notification bell, and tell me here in the comments as well, do you believe that these blood moons on Purim are a sign from God? I want to know your opinion. A big hug, stay with God, and until the next video. Bye-bye.